Hello, everyone, and welcome to the episode 36 of the Office Hours podcast. This episode has another question from one of our viewers, and this question is focusing on if I'm a software engineer and I'd like to reclassify into being a product owner or doing software sales, and essentially just making quite a big departure from the career path I'm on currently. I hope you're going to enjoy what's about to follow. Thank you.
From another person. So I'm happy as a developer, but have many interests. So questions I've often been curious about are how do I transition from software development to product development? This is one question, but this question has like sub-question.
Mhm.
Also, the sub one was how do I transition from software development to software sales? Are there other fields that I could transition into from software development that perhaps I haven't thought about? And you know what? I'll let you answer this, but I want to add something to it. Yeah,
Sure.
just to give my opinion about this,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah. Okay, so a person who wants to transition from software into either product or into software sales, which is quite interesting. Usually I kind of see like the other, like I think people are trying to get into software more rather than trying to get out of software. Though, seeing the state of the software industry, I can't necessarily blame anyone for willing to get out of this shit show. Fair enough.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So to transition to product development specifically, I guess it would be nice to have a qualifier. Like, do they mean product in terms of like a job of a product manager still in a software company? Well, the product is the software, or is it like just any other arbitrary product development in general
I'd imagine it's within software development
within
as well.
software, right? Okay. So I think you can definitely make that change because I think one thing there's definitely we talked about it before, the disconnect between um, people with understanding of software principles. So like a lot of engineers obviously operate using those principles, but non-engineers usually don't. So there's like two very clear sort of sets of people, and you need somebody to translate in between, right? And usually like product managers are in that category that they have to translate from one world to another. So if you have exposure to both of them, that definitely helps, right? You can talk to engineers using their own language. You can translate. Um, you can do like impedance matching on both ends so that the information can flow clearly. I never really thought about making that switch myself. So this is all just pure on a spot speculation. That is an interesting question. Let me think about it briefly.
Well, while you're thinking about it, I could give you my opinion on it,
Okay, yeah, yeah, sure.
actually. You know, I think I've had to answer this question recently, but in another conversation actually.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's in a different domain. I think this person worked in another industry that's not software development, but a completely different industry, somewhat close to me actually. And I think it's a very good, it's a good idea to follow your interest, you know. However, when it comes to like professionally, sometimes sometimes it's like those interests could be a distraction in a way. And I can explain. So for example, let's say you work 5 years as a software developer, hypothetically. If you work 5 years as a software developer, see as you get out of school, you study software engineering. So you probably have experience with like other aspects of software development generally. So now you work as a software developer, and after 3, 5 years, you say, okay, I want to work as a PO now. When you move PO, now you are, let's say you got like Dev 1 or Dev 2 within those 3, 5 years. Moving to PO, you're not gonna be a level 2 or a senior PO. You're gonna start
Start from the
from the
bottom.
beginning,
Yeah.
from the bottom. Now you're a junior PO now, or like a beginner PO. And then you spend like more time developing yourself in this place now. So the things you have learned as a software developer, of course, they could come in handy, but in business, I don't think, especially as far as I know about like when it comes to the business side of software development, I don't think that you will get that much confidence to be considered senior. Not because you know about how to code or like you know about software development to be considered senior in product development. You know, you would have to learn this part too. So now you've just given up on your 3 to 5 years of experience that you were working on in software development. So now in product development, now you're building another, let's say you build another 3 to 5 years. Now you want to transition into sales. Of course, for sure, you would have to learn again. Now you're starting the process again. But and and there is nothing wrong with this. You know, if this is the plan that you have for your career, like for how you see yourself like growing in your career, because everybody has like a plan at the end of the day. For example, if you intend to have your own software company, for example, this could be a very good thing to do to follow this interest because then you get to see how everything is done. And when you have your own company, you can know how to help the people that work with you or like the people around you or like how to get work done. This could be good knowledge, you know? So
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, you following your interest, it's good, but you have to consider what is your plan professionally, like for your own career, like
Mm.
what's the plan?
Yeah.
Because there will always be new things for you to build interest on. So, for
Yeah. Yeah.
example, maybe tomorrow there's a whole new domain in
Right.
software development and it's so fancy and everyone. So now you have to go there. So this is when I consider it as a distraction, really.
I see. I
So
see.
if you spend all this time growing in one domain, you will gain a lot of experience. You will gain a lot of compensation for your experience. You probably will be able to depending on what your plan is, you'll probably be able to hit your goals sooner. But if you change so much, you would imagine that those experiences should count in the new places that you are in. But this is not the case. Theoretically, it should be considered, but I don't, in the business of things, I don't see it being considered. I think
Mm.
you will be losing those experiences as you switch.
Right.
So
Okay.
this is why I generally would just suggest that
Yeah. I
it
see your
depends on
point.
your
I
endpoint.
yeah. I see your point, but let me raise you this counterpoint.
Okay.
Um, I think that value arises at the intersection of like disparate domains and areas of expertise. Like if you have two disparate domains that you're skilled in, and you can find somebody where you can consult in the intersections of those two domains, you can get much more value out of that compared to just being in the one domain, right? I think there's that, because and if like the more disparate areas you can kind of, like if you have like a Venn diagram of all of the different skills, I think the most value can be derived where the most parts intersect, if you think about it
Maybe.
that way, because you just have unique experiences on different ends of things that other people don't, and that is valuable. So you can say, like, they still have to be uh somewhere, like they do still need to intersect. Just because you have two sets of experiences in two fields does not necessarily mean that they do intersect. So they still have to intersect. But if they do intersect, that's where you can gain a lot of value. So
I
I don't
agree.
know.
I totally
Um,
agree.
yeah, the other that was there was other thought I had in my head with this. I can't remember. I can't. It slipped my mind right now.
Yeah.
But in terms of distractions, some things could be distractions, and yeah, like oh yeah, I remember. It's kind of completely unrelated, but I thought it was interesting. Like I was reading this book on anthropology of this South American Amazonian tribe, and they had like some Christian missionary live with them for a bunch of years and sort of describing his experience. And they had this belief that occasionally every person, they would basically, I think they had this notion that like if you go to sleep you wake up a different person. So they kind of staved off sleeping for really long periods of time. But the extreme form of that is that sometime a person would actually even stop responding to their old name, and they would say like, I'm a completely different person now. The person you're talking to doesn't exist anymore, right? So it's like they changed so much overnight drastically that they're just this completely different person, and the old person has nothing to do with it. So that's kind of like the extreme form, right? If you say like, oh, I want to reclassify myself from dev to product, it's like, yeah, you start at point one, step one, and you have to like kind of ramp it up and learn from scratch. And then if you do it again, you basically again like reset yourself and do it again. But the thing is that you still retain your expertise, right? From
Mhm.
before. So it's not entirely different. You still have it and you still can leverage it, right? And that's
Yeah.
why that's why I was
Yeah.
thinking that this intersection business actually works out. I think the problem with this approach is that, we only have so many years available to us to learn all of these things. Like if you were to live forever, you could have
Mhm.
literally learned everything and
Yeah,
have
for sure.
an intersection of all experiences and all expertises
Yeah.
all at once, and then you effectively become a demigod. But
Yeah. Yeah.
because you can only put in 5 years here and there and everywhere, you can probably top out at like three different things that you can be really good at.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah, but
yeah.
like if you're going from uh the expertise of software engineering to an expertise of painting miniature from Warhammer 40K series, maybe there's not much value to be had at the intersection of those two fields. So I'm just saying, like, have one as a hobby for sure. But
Yeah,
don't build your professional career on those two things or something of that nature.
completely. Like I think I agree. I agree. Just just to explain more about my opinion, yeah. So for example, if you start as a front-end developer and you decide to also do back-end development, this experience counts together. If from now you have front-end, back-end, and you decide to do like maybe some what are these people called? You know, the people who do like deployment.
Sari,
Uh, Generally, they are called
like
SRE, but they're
DevOps,
also DevOps, exactly.
right?
So if you decide to like do more like something DevOps, so now you're learning more about like software development in it. So I think these ones aggregate together, but I know about product development actually. Like I've spent some time doing this and I know like it's the different kind of experience that is not exactly equal to software development, like in terms of like developing application, or like application itself. So I think I'm not too sure I think the only benefit there would be that, or you probably will understand the language of the developers better. And being a product developer, I think since you're like the intermediary between like tech and business, you can understand business and you can translate tech language. You know, this will be good. This is good. But in terms of like being considered as a professional experience that is transmittable, like transferable, I'm not too sure. Especially when it comes to sales. As a being a software developer in sales, I
Yeah,
mean,
that would be quite a pivot.
yeah, that would be quite a pivot. So I'm not against, like, I'm not saying like it's not a good idea. I think it will be a good idea if you have the opportunity to do it
Hmm.
and you have the need for this experience in your final plan. Like,
I think
like
personality wise, sales and development are kind of far apart from one
exactly.
another on a spectrum of
Ex-
things that you can do. So maybe
yeah.
the thing is, okay, maybe you have a propensity for sales and you went into development by the promise of, you know, riches and glamorous IT life, and now you're realizing that it's not quite your thing. You'd rather be on the people side of that equation and not on the machine side of that equation. So maybe if that's the case, maybe switching to sales is a good idea because you get to actually do what you enjoy more.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I
So
think
we're making an assumption that the person who's doing the development is actually suited for doing the development. And as I said before, like you can teach pretty much anyone how to write code, but it doesn't necessarily mean that most people are going to enjoy it. So
this is true.
maybe you went there. Sometimes when you're young and your parents are like, oh, you have to go to college and you have to learn this and that, you have to like pick this program. And since you don't know any better, you're just like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. And then you spend your time there and you realize it has zero interest to you whatsoever and you should have been doing something else. The extreme of that is this whole I need to find myself and like, oh, I'm 36 and I'm still finding myself. It's like, yeah, dude, like the time for that has passed. Like pick something and
Yeah.
actually do something with your life, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, hey, you picked something that you're not enjoying. Again, it's kind of like echoing back to the beginning of this conversation. Like, when is the right time to quit? Like, you have to make that determination. Like, it's like, yeah, maybe you are doing it and you're moderately successful at it, but you just dread the day that you have to go in and write code. Like, sure, maybe you're getting paid well, but you're just not having any fun with it at all. You only have one life. Why would you spend it suffering, if you can avoid it?
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
You know,
yeah.
you know, another thing about it is that I have found that the knowledge you gain in terms of like experience with like software development is could be volatile. Like you could be really good at something right
Yes.
now within 3 years. And if you stop doing it for 6 months and go back to it, you might find yourself like you are not as good as you used to be good at it. So like it could be volatile. So then it means like you didn't really keep anything in the bank,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
because you lost all this like
Yeah.
knowledge because you switched to something else.
But that's the conversation for like specific versus fundamentals, right? Like you still retain fundamentals. So yeah, don't a lot of people in IT right now, they learn a lot of specifics and tend to neglect the fundamentals, especially again, like people who are entering IT for different reasons than just the love of technology and computing and all of these things. Like they get attracted by salaries and perks and benefits, fair enough. As I said at the beginning, like you have to follow your self-interests.
Hmm.
But if you do neglect the fundamentals and you just learn the specifics, those are indeed very volatile. 6 months later, all that knowledge, most of it is going to be kind of unnecessary or not applicable. It's like, yeah, let me tell you about view state management in ASP.NET Forms 2.0. Like, yeah, no one gives a shit about it today because no one's using it anymore. I still
Yeah,
have it somewhere in my brain, but useless, utterly useless right now.
exactly. Yeah, this is and the thing about it. Anyway, I think this is we made good answers for this. So,
Yeah.
but the person also has like more questions, like the sub questions.
Okay. Well, we'll visit it next
And
time.
more interesting ones. So it's like it's a oh, you want to do it next time, or we can we do it now? I
Oh,
think do you
well, I
think we
mean,
have
we're already at like an hour mark, so I think it's
all
getting a
right.
little bit too extended. So I think
Okay.
we'll save it for the next time.
Okay, for sure, for sure. It's a good one, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
that'll be it then. Thank you very much, Vasily. Thank you for your time.
thank you,
It's
Mo.
actually really good to
Yeah.
discussing these things with you. I feel like I've also learned um more about it and discussing it with you. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, for real.
And thank you, Abdul.
Yeah,
Also,
thank you,
thank
Abdul.
you.
Now you have to leave the comment down below, Abdul. If you don't, I'll mention it in the next stand up. So, make sure
Yeah,
to leave one there.
yeah. We should also say thank you to Jeremy too. So thank
Yeah,
you.
for real. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Send us more questions through Telegram, LinkedIn, or whatever. As you can see, we are actually answering those. So it's not just hot air, there.
Yeah.
We're getting on with it. And yeah, thank you very much, Mo. And we'll see you all next time. Have a great day. Bye.
See you.